on. Okay, we are recording right now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Kevin, how are you doing?
Good. How are you today, man?
Doing good, doing good. It's been a minute since we recorded, about two to three,
Uh-huh.
you know.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, it's good because we've been talking a lot about MMA recently, a lot about UFC. You know,
Mm-hmm.
last episode of the podcast we talked about, the return of Conor McGregor, um,
Mm-hmm.
and what that's sort of going to look like for next year, and also the supposed cancellation of UFC 244 with Nate Diaz and Jorge Masvidal.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I kind of wanted to give just like a super quick recap about what happened. So, um, Nate Diaz, I'm going to share my screen real quick. He released these tweets saying that everyone's on steroids except for him, and that he's not
Uh-huh.
able to make it to NYC for the fight because they said he tested for elevated levels of a substance. And he says that he only took whole foods and all natural food supplements, and he doesn't even eat meat because he is vegan, as you know. So he said, USADA, whoever it is, they need to fix this, and that he's not going to fight because he technically, in short, just doesn't want to taint his legacy. So that received over 124,000 likes, right? 124.1, yeah, thousand likes, and just it got reaction from all like UFC fighters from all over the world saying like, I can't believe the fight's canceled. I can't believe this is going on. But then recently, I think it was yesterday, it was cleared up that he actually was. Where's that tweet? It's by Ariel Hawani. So technically, like whatever happened over the weekend, they fixed the problem, and he's going to be able to fight this Saturday. So
Okay. It's coming Saturday.
it's sorry.
It's coming Saturday.
Yeah, he's fighting this Saturday officially. He's been cleared by the doping, the USADA, which is the anti-doping commission within the United States. So yeah, he's all good to go. But it's very significant because no UFC fighter has ever done this. Not even Conor McGregor. So that kind of shows you how big the star power Nate Diaz has within the fight game. So
Right. So
yeah.
so essentially he is
He
clean.
is clean. He's clean, yeah. I mean, yeah, he can fight. I think like Ariel Hawani even mentioned, like he's like one of the cleanest athletes, and there would be no question to him if he took steroids or not, because that's not even like something you sort of bring up. It's like saying, something inaccurate, like Apple's not the biggest cell phone um, seller or company like in the world, right?
Okay.
And yeah, I think the audio is it kind of scratchy on your end, like the background. Can you hear that?
Sounds good.
It sounds good. Okay, for some reason on mine it's kind of scratchy, but I don't know if that's my audio or something. But I guess we can continue. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna be a big fight. It's gonna be really really exciting, and it's just very significant. Not only that, because they had the BMF implemented, creating a completely different belt for this. A lot of fight fans want to see this. Even casual fight fans want to see this. A lot of sort of people who don't necessarily watch fights are going to be tuned in to watch this. I'm pretty sure you're going to be at my place watching this over the weekend. You know?
Just send me a
invite. Yeah, because that definitely like I don't make plans on Saturday unless it's like a really really big fight. Then my plans are going to be set that I'm going to be watching that fight on the weekend.
Okay.
And this is one of the because the Israel Adesanya
Mm-hmm.
fight, the UFC fight that happened a few weeks ago, right? You came over and we watched that. This one's gonna be really good, so it's gonna be awesome. Yeah.
So what is Nate Diaz fighting again?
Yeah. So he's fighting this fighter from Miami called Jorge Masvidal, and yeah, Jorge Masvidal was raised in Miami. He actually started by fighting within like in street fights.
Okay.
There was this other UFC fighter, I don't think at the time, but his name was Kimbo Slice, and he would sponsor these backyard brawls with.
Kimbo Slice.
Yeah, you heard it.
One of my coworker gave me the nickname is Kimbo Slice for some reason. I was at internship with Northwestern Mutual, and then they call me Kimbo Slice. I was like, what does that even mean? And then they told me to look up the backyard fighting video. I was like, okay, cool. I was like, it's not like me. I don't fight. And then they're like, yeah, that's why we're giving you the nickname. I was like, cool.
Maybe you're a brawler at heart, I don't know.
Maybe I'm a brother at heart. Maybe, I don't know.
That's pretty interesting. I don't really see you as Kimbo. I see you more as I don't know.
Are you gonna give me like a new nickname? Is that what it is? What's happening here?
Kimbo? Yeah, sometimes I'll be like, I'm gonna go hang out with Kimbo. Well, you do start with a K.
What?
Kevin for a K, right? So Kimbo starts with a K as well. So
yeah, because people like to call me like K Slice, right? So I was like, K Slice, okay, and then it turned into Kimbo Slice and whatever, those things. So
yeah, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, George, he kind of fought in backyard brawls, and then he went to this I think it was Pride, which is this other fighting organization, but Pride is more international. So I think he would fight in Asia, he would fight in just different places around the world. And then the UFC finally acquired Pride, out Pride, and I think that's when George made the switch.
Okay.
But what's really significant is that George Masvidal, I guess to sort of casual fans, he became really big this year when he actually, last year, he fought Cowboy Cerrone, he fought these kind of bigger names. This year he went to England and he fought this prospect that was sort of, his name is Darren Till, and some people compare him to. They wanted to compare him to Conor McGregor, right? The rise of sort of Conor, someone who talks really loud, who fights and just kept knocking people out. George Masvidal knocked him out.
Okay.
Yeah, he knocked him out. So that blew him up. And then his next fight was, I don't know if you've seen like his fight with the flying knee knockout.
No.
So I'll send it to you, but it's actually one of the fastest knockouts in UFC history.
Oh, I think you sent me that before.
Yeah, where he's running and then he just like knees him. That just became like so significant. And like think about like the UFC, especially with like casual fans, that like anything that happens very recently, and it's also just any sports in general. If you make like it's entertainment as well. If you do something that people are going to remember, that's what they're going to remember, and you're going to become bigger than the person that's been there, let's say for like 10 years, right? He has been there for around like longer than 10 years, or around the same time as Nate Diaz. So it's like these guys are both very, very similar in that they're fighting for a long time and they just want to fight, right?
Okay. So we know the fight is happening. I know nothing about these two guys. So being friends with you, I know a little bit about, UFC, different fighting styles, different, like the wrestling and jiu-jitsu, like can you give us a preview in terms of fighting techniques? What should people look for in this upcoming Saturday?
Yeah, so usually some fights are very technical, right? Like Khabib Nurmagomedov, he's all wrestling based. Very, very, very grappling based, which is a mixture of jiu-jitsu, wrestling, right on the ground. Nate Diaz is a very, very skilled jiu-jitsu black belt, very good grappler, but his fighting style is that he presses people with pressure. So he has an amazing cardio. He actually runs triathlons, and he's won several competitions within triathlons.
Okay.
And I think he does sort of Ironmans as well, but essentially his cardio is never ending, and he can take absorb a lot of punches. That he doesn't even do jiu-jitsu, and the opponent actually takes them down. When they try to take Nate Diaz down, then he'll do submissions and jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
He's very forward pressure boxing. Dirty boxing involves elbows, right? Maybe like different punches you don't usually do within like regular boxing rules.
Okay.
And then Jordan brawler as well, going punch, he'll absorb some punches, but not really much of a wrestler unless you take him to the ground. So it's just going to be a stand-up sort of boxing with a lot of clench work as well, maybe some knees.
What is clench?
So clench is when you're grabbing the opponent sort of by the neck, and you have the ability to knee or elbow them. It's just very up close.
Okay, so we're expecting more upstanding, more like close range, kind of like a technical, like you give me a punch and I defect it, kind of a thing, right?
Exactly, but I don't think there's a lot of defecting here. I think it's just going to be a lot of absorbing, and someone might get knocked out, hopefully. You know.
Okay.
Well, not hopefully. So it's not. You don't necessarily want to root for people to get knocked out. I personally don't feel like,
Why not?
because it's like against it's like sort of when people get knocked out, it sort of shortens their careers in a way if it's a lot, you know. So you sort of
Really?
fighter to be safe, and however the fight ends, that's how the fight ends, right?
Okay.
The unfortunate thing is that sometimes people do want to see that. They want to see knockouts. They want to see, you know, the fighter get like hurt. But at the same time, it's like when a fighter doesn't sort of brawl like Nate Diaz versus Masvidal, people sort of that, and they hate that idea, and they actually boo during fights because the fighter is actually sort of safe. And I think that's something that's sort of very negative in the sport. And usually when there's a big fight, a lot more fans that don't necessarily are familiar with like MMA or UFC, they'll watch, and they'll just want to see people get knocked out, and they won't really understand that it's more sort of different things go in it, and then different fighting styles are more technical. So
okay. So you don't want a knockout, but most people want a knockout because they want to see the other person become unconscious, pretty much. Okay.
exactly, yeah, exactly. Like,
Okay.
I mean, if I see a knockout, like, yeah, that's exciting. I'm not against knockout. I just don't want them to go in there and sort of fight dumb. Like, I want it to be an exciting match. And I want it to go maybe a few rounds. You know, I just want to see who's the better technical. I think personally Nate Diaz is going to win. Just
Okay.
cardio. I think he has a longer reach. He's
Okay.
longer. And George Masvidal, like, his striking is good, but I don't think he's at the level of striking and boxing as Nate Diaz is.
So how does the vegan power thing play into the whole thing?
The vegan power. So I mean, man, those plants that give you superpowers, you know. I don't know if you've heard this or not.
Does like Nate Diaz kind of like, you know, last longer because of the fact of his diet, or, you know, like, does Nate Diaz has like a, you know, reputation of, like, you know, lasting longer, of performing better, all that fun stuff?
So it's pretty interesting. Like Nate Diaz, I think it's a mixture of both. This is genetics.
Okay.
If you see sort of Nate Diaz's physique, he's very skinny and long, but he looks sort of, he doesn't have a six pack, right? He looks like you kind of see him. He's like kind of skinny fat in a way, right?
Okay.
But like he has cardio for days. He's actually a very, very healthy athlete, clean athlete. You know, he eats a ton of vegetables, ton of supplements, plant-based like foods, right? So he's very, very clean. A professional athlete in terms of diet, sleep, and everything. So yeah, I mean, I think also his genetics just contribute to his cardio as well.
Okay.
So
okay. So you're predicting Nate Diaz. Is Nate Diaz like the favorite right now, based on Vegas odds?
oh, let me pull up the Vegas odds right now, actually.
Okay. Because if Nate Diaz is like a 100, you know, like -150 or something, then that makes sense, you know?
Yeah, so let me show you, because I really don't know how to sort of see Vegas odds. Maybe you can actually help me out here.
Okay. Just do the UFC number, Nate Diaz odds. Okay.
Can you see it?
Yeah, so Nate Diaz is actually a dog right now. So whenever you see odds, whenever it's negative, that means it's good. You know?
So George Masvidal is a favorite in this one by -165.
Yeah, so it's pretty much like 2-1, pretty much. There's a different website, you know, as you can see, like there's more website treating him as like a dog, you know, Nate Diaz.
Yeah, here's
which is interesting.
For the majority. It's pretty split, I guess, down the middle.
But most of them kind of just treated Nate Diaz as an underdog, but it's not like that much though. You know, if you go down, like say Shane Burgos against Makan Amirali, that is a huge difference right there.
Yeah.
So cool. So Nate Diaz may be able to like overcome the odds. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
Why do you think? There you go.
I guess this is the expected outcome.
Yeah, so from the Vegas booking perspective, why do you think George Masvidal is a favorite?
So from the booking, you could say that He's already fought twice this year, so he's been more active than Nate Diaz has, right?
Okay.
So actually, we can actually go check out the records, and we can see how frequently they fought. Nate Diaz, before this summer he fought, he took a 3-year layoff, right?
Okay. So he hasn't been fighting for the last 3 years, Diaz?
Yeah, he hasn't been fighting for the last 3 years.
Wow. Okay.
Until recently this summer, and the last fight that he fought was against Conor McGregor back in, I believe, 2016, before Conor went over to win the 2 belts, the second belt, the 5 belt. This is George Masvidal record, right? So George Masvidal actually took a 1-year break, then came back in 2019, and Darren Till and Ben Askren.
Okay.
And his record's pretty good. I mean, 34 wins and 13 losses is not bad at all.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Kind of up and down. And this is Nate Diaz.
So like from the perspective of the fighter not fighting for the last 3 years, so most people might think he might be rusty, or like, is that how you explain why he is an underdog here?
Personally, I feel like that's why he's sort of like a slight underdog, is just because of like the time off he's had. He's only had 1 fight in 2016, and in 2019, and then the other was in 2016. So we don't know how he's going to do against like different punches. Did he take damage when he was not fighting? It's just, there's this thing called ring rust, and it affects some fighters, and other fighters it really doesn't.
Ring rust. Okay, so kind of like when they're not, on the level of performance, and they're not on the level of performance, pretty much.
Exactly. So it's like a runner. They need to maybe like take a few runs. They need to train back up in order to run that on again, right? Okay. So if they're rusty, sometimes it's not even like the fighting style, the pressure of fighting in front of thousands of people, hundreds of people. Right.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, like they don't know how to handle it all at once, right?
Okay, cool. Yeah, alrighty.
It's gonna be a good fight. Gonna be awesome.
Okay, well, when it happens, let me know. I will swing by, and then we'll watch the fight.
For sure. We can do a recap. And thank you guys again for watching and listening. This is the RDR show. For those of you who don't know,
please give us a comment on YouTube so that Jofre doesn't delete them again.
Please let us know how we're doing. Everything is welcome. I'm a very, very, big fight fan, and I hope, this sort of translated into what you guys like. Kevin is more casual, but he is a fight fan as well.
I beat you twice on the UFC game, man. Come on.
Twice, but I beat him
straight crap. Straight crap.
Times,
I mean, like this is something definitely that you rub off on me, and then I definitely want to kind of, because the way that I like it probably is the way that you like it now, is that, it's not mainstream, right? So like the amount of people that are attracted to it are actually really, really big super fans, and that's part of your life. It's like basketball. Basketball is like part of my life, right? Like you watch UFC, I watch basketball. We can reverse the hobbies and whatever, and go from there. So.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I like that you're watching, even if just kind of casual and just watching the big fights. Like I think that's awesome. And this is definitely a fight you should check out. Like if I tell you to check out a fight, it's because it's going to be good for sure. So this one's not going to be one to miss. Like the last one we watched, that was pretty entertaining.
Yeah, pretty good. Cool. Alrighty. Yeah.
Please leave us a like and send us a message.
Subscribe. Hit the bell. Whatever YouTuber says now. We're part of the YouTube community now, my friend, which is good.
Yeah, so we've been making a lot more episodes on Anchor and Spotify and just sort of online podcast platforms, wherever you guys listen to podcasts. Apple Podcasts? Mm-hmm. I think iTunes is dead, right?
Yep.
So yeah, we're doing it here, but we're actually sort of trying to go more to the video format. So this is still kind of new to us, and we're still learning as it goes. But
yep, and then that's about it.
Cool. Awesome. This is Jofre.
Is this Keven signing off?
Jofre signing off.
All right. Have a nice one, guys.